I was listening.
Okay.
You ready? At gmail.com.
All
Guess
one
what year I
word.
created that?
2009. All one word, no dots.
No dots. At gmail.com.
Okay. All right. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, my friends made fun of me when I made that. Like, so what are you going to do? Make one every year? It's like, look.
I made mine. I was so excited. Doctor, and now I'm like, work the whole time.
That's a big accomplishment. You should be.
Our business in meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're here. In spirit.
They're here.
And online. It's raining. I didn't expect this.
Yeah, the weather is a lot worse than you think it is. Dave's like, oh, it's not really hard. I got on the road.
Okay. I'm not using it. Yeah.
Okay, now we're live.
No.
They should be there, but every once in a while there's a glitch.
So not reliable.
Just so I make sure.
But now if all my papers fall on the floor,
I'll come up and pick them up.
I have no idea what you guys are going to do.
Hey, if they do, just keep talking.
Just keep talking.
What I usually do is take that book off.
Right.
Because it kind of takes up the whole little.
Yeah, I've got my own little book, so I'll have to put it.
Yes,
check.
I just
Check,
put
check.
it on the shelf.
Yeah.
You can just put it on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it. I love the fact that you have the order of service in there. I
That was
think
David's idea.
that was a great idea.
It's helped us a lot.
We've always had an order service.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was David's idea.
Well, it was a strip. No, we had a strip.
It's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Okay, let me see if I can get up here. Look at that. We got a little.
Oh, good. Oh God, you know what I do?
The slide says it's.
Guess we should get going here. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Center of Spiritual Living Yolo here in the beautiful Grand Prince Odeon in downtown Winters, California. My name is Billy Larkin. I'm your music director. We're so happy to see you here this morning. Let's get things started with a little answer to a question, because God is the answer. God in me, and in everything I see God in you. And in everything you do, God is love. As sure as the stars above, love is mine. As sure as the sun will shine. Feel in our hearts, know in our mind. We are the stars, see how we shine. We are the light that shows the world. God is the answer. God is the answer. God is the answer. God in me, and in everything I see God in you. And in everything you do, God is love. As sure as the stars above, love is mine. As sure as the sun will shine. Feel in our hearts, know in our mind. We are the stars, see how we shine. We are the light that shows the world. God's the answer. God is the answer. God is the answer. One more time. God is the answer. Alrighty, welcome once again. So happy to see you on this wet, gray day. It's still beautiful. It's still California for me. Loving it. Anyway, so we're really happy that you're here, and we'd like to put a welcome out to anybody who's here for the first time. I don't think I see anybody who's here for the very first time, but and you guys probably know where the restrooms and everything are located at this point, so that's good. And if it's your first time here, or even if it's not your first time here, we need to always kind of recall what we're here for, right? And so I would like to ask our practitioner, Dr. Deborah Taylor, to come on up and tell us what we believe.
Good morning. Good morning. Woo! You brave people out here in the rain. It's so good to see you. And personally, I'm not yet done with the rain. I'm kind of enjoying it still. I'm feel compassion for people who are having stuff happen that's not so good, but I'm grateful for the rain right now. So, let's talk about some distillation of what we believe here in this center. We have more beliefs than these, but these kind of represent the distillation of them. This is like laser. We believe that love is all there is. Now I'm gonna have us take a breath on that one. Whew, because I kind of need a breath on that one. Love is all there is. Whew. Love is either everything that we do experience is either an expression of love or a request for love. And if we could kind of go through life looking at everything that happens, all our situations, circumstances, and people, imagine how that might shift your experience. I invite you to do that. We believe that all thought is creative and influential. Thoughts are things. Everything started out as an idea. We started out as a divine idea, a twinkle in the eye of God, if you will, even though, Kind of making God look like a person, but God is way more than that. And so we don't beat ourselves up when we have thoughts that don't serve us. What we know is we can change that thought. We can change our thinking, and by changing our thinking, we can change our experience and change our lives. We believe that we are whole, perfect, and complete exactly as we are right now. Whoa, that's kind of I know. All that stuff that's coming up of what I didn't do, ought to do, should do. Forget about it. The essence of who you are is whole, perfect, and complete. It always has been, always will be. We believe in a world that works for everyone. And we are working from that vision of the world, working from that world right now. Because it is already done in the mind of God. And so as we simply come into alignment with that divine idea, we start to experience that more and more and more in our lives. And every person is connected, just like I am, you are. Every person has that connection and has that power and that ability to claim that for themselves. And we simply hold that for everyone. Because, see, my idea of a world working might not be somebody else's idea, and I have to allow room for that. So at this time, it's time for Namaste.
Or an affirmation first?
Nope.
Namaste, okay.
But hey, I'm just going
Let's do
to.
Namaste.
Going by the script.
There's a
I'm with you.
script, and I'm just following it.
I'm with you, yeah.
So let's Namaste.
Go Namaste.
Because we see God, we see the truth of each being. And so we're inviting all of us to circle around, mingle, look into the eyes, and say Namaste, and shine that light. Wonderful. Thank you, Billy. So, in case you missed it, I'm Dr. Deborah Taylor, a practitioner here in this community, and it is now my great joy and pleasure to share our vision and mission statements and affirmations for this week. And, I like participation, so I will be inviting you to participate in this process as well. So first, I'm going to read the vision statement for CSL Yolo, and then I'll invite you to state it in your own voice, claiming it in your own heart. Our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. So please say it with me. Our vision is to create an environment for all to realize the power of spiritual connection. Didn't you feel that connection when you say that? And our CSL Yolo mission statement, to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. So you know what? I'm going to have you stand up on this one. So this is what we're about. To provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. Okay, so you know what? Whoa, don't sit yet. So, if you were living your inherent greatness in this moment, so just take a breath and step into it. And then I want you to strike a pose that indicates for you that feeling right now. Go. All right. Thank you. And our affirmation for today. I have unshakable faith in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life. For God is in absolute control. So now if you're a little control freak, I'm just going to invite you to let it go for a moment, okay? Just for a moment as we speak this affirmation and allow it to really permeate our being. So please say with me, I have unshakable faith in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life. Whoa. Say it again, please. With conviction. I have unshakable faith in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life. For God is in absolute control. And what that means is now we can just relax and let God do God's work and know. Thank you. So now I'd like to invite our board president, Peggy Gravender, to share some announcements with us.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So today and for the next 3 Sundays, we will be holding our Soul Song Workshop series. And this is how do you express yourself through your voice, movement? Does it shift depending on who is in the room? What does your sound feel like? Co-facilitators Ellen Garavati and Carrie Hennessy are thrilled to lead this experiential vocal workshop of playful adventure, song, breath, and movement. You will discover and witness the healing as we focus on our nervous system regulation and co-regulation in a safe and playful group setting, utilizing voice vibrations through breath, movement, and the embodiment tactics. And again, this is starting today and then the next 2 subsequent Sundays, and it's going to be held across the street after we have our fellowship downstairs. We'll be going across the street. And next week, on Sunday, we will have another guest speaker, and this will be Midge Austin, and his topic will be New Thought pioneer Emmett Fox, and we have a guest musical performer, Carrie Hennessy.
Yeah, she's great.
There's the slide there. Okay, and also one more workshop coming up that Deborah Taylor, who you heard speak just a few minutes ago, she is developing a new class called 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life. Discovered the gifts you can create, gift to create a consciousness of wealth, gratitude, intention, forgiveness, tithing, and surrender. And she'll be creating a guide to living the completely abundant life you are born to live. And we'll have those dates as soon as we figure them out. And today's guest speaker, I have quite the resume here to read to you, so bear with me. Reverend Mignon Pollard is a Center for Spiritual Living CSL licensed affiliate minister of religious science and has been a CSL practitioner for 10 years. She graduated Emerson Theological Institute in 2020 and attends the Home School of Spiritual Leadership. She is a staff minister at Center for Spiritual Awareness in West Sacramento. She teaches the CSL certified classes, Essential Earnest, Visioning, and the Roots of Science of Mind, and Revised Power of Decision. She wrote the curriculum Developing Consciousness based on the work of Fenwick Holmes. She believes the principles of science of mind can change your life for the better. Mignon continues to work on behalf of children and young adults in the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion in California schools and has done so for 15 years. She believes together we can create a loving, compassionate, and caring world. And she will come up later. I would off to Billy again.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Yeah, as we enter into the more contemplative portion of our service today, we'll start it off with a song of mine called Holy Light of Love. Please join me. Holy light of love, holy light of love, shine on, shine on. Holy light of love, holy light of love, shine on, shine on, and the darkness falls apart when the love shines from your heart. Holy light of love, holy light of love, shine on, shine on. Holy light of love, holy light of love, shine on, shine on, and the darkness falls apart when the love shines from your heart. Holy light of love, holy light of love, holy light, holy light of love, holy light of love, holy light of love.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's so nice. I don't have to change the mic. So today's sacred reading is from Catherine Ponder's book, Open Your Mind to Receive, page 15. Open your mind to receive by telling God what you want instead of constantly telling people. Telling people what you want can dissipate your good. because God is the source of your supply, not people. Although people, ideas, and opportunities are all channels of your supply, God is the source, because God creates those ideas and opportunities. Through the law of mind action, God helps attract the appropriate people and circumstances to you to expedite those ideas and opportunities through which your good can come to pass. A statement you will want to use often to help you identify with the source of your good is, I do not depend upon persons or conditions for my good. God is the source of my supply, and God provides amazing channels of good to me now. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so I'm going to invite us to allow the breath to deepen itself in its own perfect rhyme and rhythm. And as we exhale, just come into this perfect, infinite, eternal now moment. Allowing that invisible stuff we call air to be a metaphor for the invisible side of life that we may call God or Spirit. We may call it holy light of love. We may call it divine intelligence, the universe, Allah, Yemaya, Shango, Shiva. We may call it Jehovah, Yahweh, Gaia, Big Mama, Mother Earth, Father Sky, Wakantanka. By whatever name we may call it, love, joy, peace. It is that infinite presence that is everywhere, all-knowing, all-powerful. And as I know there is only one of us here, I am a divine emanation and expression of that presence, that love, that power, that joy, that peace, that creativity. And as I know this for myself, I know that this is the truth of each one here. I know it is the truth of each one who pertains to each one here. And therefore, I know it is the truth of all creation. For indeed, we are one. And there is only one of us here. And that is the power and presence of love. And in this space, from this place, I speak my word. For in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is creative. And so as I speak my word, I know that it is being, that it is truth. And so I am simply knowing that whatever whatever prayer may be held in the hearts and the minds and maybe not even consciously known, the answer is always yes. Yes to love. Yes to peace. Yes to abundance. Yes to harmonious relationships. Yes to physical vitality and wholeness and well-being. Yes to beauty. Yes to joy. Yes to sharing our talents. Yes to receiving all the good that is winging its way to us right now. Yes, yes, yes. And so I'm simply standing in gratitude for all who have shown up this morning, their love providing the atmosphere of peace and acceptance, caring, joy. In gratitude for the surrendered vessel, Reverend Mignon Pollard, as she allows Spirit to speak through her voice and through her life, simply shining a light that others may see. I speak in gratitude for our beautiful music that inspires and nurtures and nourishes our spirit. I speak in gratitude for the open-heartedness and the willingness for each one to step into a greater expression of God and who they are. God on the planet, God in the universe and all universes. And so as I release my word into the alchemy of love and law, I know that the prayer is answered even before the words are spoken. And indeed, the words are a vibration that we put forth, and it resonates and attracts all that is like to it. And so I am just releasing and letting go, letting God, with no attachment to outcome. For I know that as I let God do God's work, the only outcome is good, is love. And so I invite all to join with me in anchoring this feeling tone of all is well with our words Ashe, Ashe, Aho, Amen,
Amen.
and so it is.
So it is. Just let the past go. Hold on to the now. 'Cause we will never really know the where and the what and the when and the how. So we should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall into grace. There will be wrong anyway. No gods to displease, just a universal spirit that's calling you to say that you should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall into grace. There will be no trace of any doubt. This is what faith is all about, and we should fall into grace. There is a secret to falling. Just release and let go. Trusting in God is our calling. And right into grace we will flow. And we should fall into grace. Yes, we're gonna fall into grace. There will be no trace of any doubt. This is what faith is all about, and we should fall into grace. Fall into grace. Fall into grace. Fall into grace.
Good morning, CSL Yolo.
Good morning.
So beautiful and wonderful to be here on this beautiful day. Uh-oh. Is it too low? Am I too high?
There's a little handle. Takes a professional.
Everything is in divine and perfect, right order.
Yep.
And so it's so good to look out and see you here today on this absolutely beautiful day coming into CSL Yolo. I have an opportunity to speak to you today about New Thought pioneer Catherine Pounder. And she's a unity minister, and she's still alive. She's 96 years old,
Oh.
and she lives in the Palm Springs area. And she was born on February 14th, 1927. And I'll just tell you that I was inspired to speak about Catherine Pounder because sometimes you go to your practitioners, right? Even if you're a minister, you go to your practitioners because they know. And you say, I got this little issue and I want to deal with it. And, I went to practitioners like, you need Catherine Pounder. And you talk to Catherine Pounder and you study Catherine Pounder. So I made that intention. I said, okay, I'm going to, because I had Pounder books on my shelf I shouldn't admit it. They were sitting on the shelf. And so then I made that intention, so they moved from the shelf to my bedside, the bedside table. I still hadn't opened them. But the intention, I feel like even setting the intention made the world shift. It made my life shift. And then I started reading and working with Catherine Pounder, and the demonstrations just keep coming and coming and coming. And it's good upon good upon good. And I share that with you because if you're having any struggles, she says it's peace, it's plenty. You can read Catherine Pounder. So that's what I want to share with you. That was fun. So what I'm going to talk to you about today I absolutely know that you know. So I'm thinking that it's my job just to remind you, okay? I'm here as a reminder of what you already know. And do I feel guilty talking about prosperity in times such as this? No. Because Catherine Ponder actually began her studies, and she began teaching and studying when it was a recession. And people kept coming up to her and asking her about these studies, and people were able to change their lives. So one of the things I think when people talk about prosperity is they don't understand sort of the fullness of prosperity. That includes health, it includes money, it includes all of your desires. And Catherine Ponder is very Bible-based, right? So she is a Bible-based minister. And she has a whole series called The Millionaires of the Bible, because it is God's desire. It's the infinite energy in the universe's desire for you to have all that you desire. That is the desire of the infinite. That is the desire of this thing that I'm calling God. And so there's no guilt in that. And then you take that and you utilize that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Catherine Ponder, where she's from. I'm going to talk about two principles. She wrote over 17 books, right? So it would take, and she spent her lifetime speaking on this. So I have about 25 minutes. So I'll talk about two things. One, creating a vacuum, and I've got a couple of levels in that, because you create that vacuum both mentally and physically. We'll talk about creating a vacuum, you know about that. And then we're going to talk about tithing, and don't run away. And because tithing is actually fascinating, and I can't wait to share a little bit about the history of it, about where it's from, about the Old Testament, the whole 9 yards. So let me get back here on script. So Catherine, she was born on February 14th, 1927. She's 96 years old. She was born in Hartsville, South Carolina. And if you listen to her, she's on YouTube. She's very Southern. It's a very Southern lady. But she studied in ministerial school at the Unity Ministerial School in Kansas. I'm going to call it Kansas City, Lee Summit, Kansas. She went there. She got her bachelor's. She also got a bachelor's degree in education in 1956, but she was ordained as a Unitarian minister in 1958. And she began her ministry in Birmingham, Alabama in 1958 to 1961. And that's where she started. She moved into Austin, Texas, 61 to 69, and San Antonio, 69 to 63. And if you follow the lineage of her books, like the books follow her as she moves through her life. And now she's in Palm Desert, Palm Springs. She moved there in 1973, and she's remained there since then. But I want to add a little bit about who she is. What she said, one of the reasons I like talking about her, or one of the reasons I like studying with her, is when she was in school in Lee Summit, she was an ally. You've heard a lot about allies, probably, but have you ever seen an ally in action? Let me tell you about Catherine Ponder. So there was a woman that was one of the first Black ministers to attend Unity, and her name was Johnny Coleman. Johnny Coleman, I could have chosen Johnny Coleman as my New Thought pioneer. Johnny Coleman is immense in her own right. And she and Catherine Ponder were schoolmates. And in the 1950s in Kansas, it was segregation. And Johnny Coleman could not stay on the Unity Village campus with the rest of the students. She had to travel 15 miles in and out of Kansas City. And people knew it, but they weren't too concerned. But one day, raining like this, and thank God I didn't have a Johnny Coleman experience, a flat tire, caught in the rain, couldn't get to class, upset, really upset, finally got away to go to class. And also, the other thing is, she couldn't eat with the students. Remember segregation. So she did find them when she finally got to campus, and they were gathered in the cafeteria. This is the way I've read it. And Johnny Coleman said, "I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. I can't stand this." And Johnny Coleman and her classmates, not Johnny Coleman, and Catherine Ponder and the white classmates, because remember, she's like the only one, right? And they were like what? And she's like, they told them, and they got mad, and they signed a petition. And Lowell Fillmore, the son of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, was the dean. And they signed this petition, and they were like, look, she has to do all this extra work, they could see her potential. They wanted to keep her as a classmate. They were real allies. They stood up for her. They put pressure on the dean. And the dean allowed Johnny Coleman then to stay on Unity Village in the servants' quarters. But it was a step in the right direction. It was a step in the right direction. She didn't have to travel 15 miles, and I'm sure she got an earful. But anyway, so that is how, if you find yourself in a spot, you can be like Catherine Ponder and lead that. Stand up. So stand up for those that you see. She lived her. And Johnny Coleman and Catherine Ponder had a lifelong friendship. Johnny Coleman died. They were friends her entire life. And Johnny Coleman used to call Catherine Ponder Miss Prosperity. Miss Prosperity is what she called her. So she wrote her first book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. This is Catherine Ponder. In the early 1960s, while she was in Birmingham, Alabama, and she said her life expanded dramatically. And she says even in that book, she kept losing people to transcribe the book because they would be transcribing the book and living the laws, and their lives would expand, and then they would leave her. Well, she taught there. She married twice. Her first husband, he died an untimely death. She doesn't talk a lot about that, but her life changed again. She moved to San Antonio, and then she wrote the sequel to the book, Open Your Mind to Prosperity. And also, Catherine has a son, one son, and he also works with her. Catherine's life in expanding, each and every time she moved and she expanded, she wrote these different books of different insights into prosperity. And she had within all of those books the demonstrations of the law. Now, Catherine she defines prosperity as the degree upon which you are experiencing peace, health, and plenty in your world. That's all there is. And that's all God wants you to have. She talks about there being no virtue in poverty, but that governments and controlling factors may have placed that idea in our mind that there's a virtue in poverty. And perhaps even the church, she said, because she believes that keeping people in poverty, in a poverty mentality, is a way to control people. Mm-hmm. And it's like Michael Beckwith says, if you've ever listened to him, He'll say, there's plenty in this world. We have unlimited resources. We just have to decide how we're going to utilize those resources. And hold on to your britches. She says that poverty is a sin. And as we know, as New Thought people, that means that poverty is missing the mark, that it's not God's will for us to be without substance, all the substance that we need. So I just want to talk about this word substance. And I want to go right directly to her book, The Millionaires of the Book of Genesis. And she's saying that substance is the word that they use. They called it a magic word for wealth back in the biblical times. So it says, here's one of the first prosperity secrets that we learn, and we learned it from the early millionaires. The Bible describes man's wealth often in the terms of substance. And the word substance was the magic word for wealth. So the wealth of Abraham and Lot was described, their substance was great. That's in Genesis 13:6. And Joseph's wealth was described that the king Pharaoh made him, Joseph, Lord of the house, the ruler of all of his substance. That was Psalms 105:21. And Job's vast wealth was described in terms of substance. Now, I just want to also say that substance, this power of the word substance, dates back much earlier than biblical times. She says the cultural classes among the ancient Egyptians knew that there was only one substance underlying everything. One substance underlying everything. But the Egyptians carefully guarded this secret, and they felt like it was unwise for just sort of anyone to know what substance was. And I'm just going to go just a little bit deeper into substance. And this is sort of how it's under a little title called How You Claim Your Millionaire Heritage. Substance says the better you understand the nature of substance out of which all wealth comes, the better you'll be able to call forth your desires in every phase of your life. So the word substance means that which stands under, that which stands under all visible forms of life. Metaphysicians have described it as the body of God, out of which all things are formed through the action of the mind. So I just wanted to go just a little bit into substance, because many of these affirmations and of the stuff, it's talking about substance. And substance is that out of which all is formed. So we know that everything it begins in the mind. And the mind, the energy of the mind, the energy of money, the mind, the thought, the idea, the intention is out of, it is the link between the unseen and the seen. That is the link between the unseen and the seen. And it is the thing that sort of moves that energy of money. And I say energy of money because I don't know about you guys, but it freaks me out that they can take a little plastic card, tap it on the side of a little plastic thing, and then my money is gone. The energy of money. I didn't realize that I was so it's energy. You can't think of it anything else but energy in this electronic world. Although there is a power to holding the physical denominations, but it is energy. So as we sort of approach this idea of financial success, we first have to, like attracts like. Catherine calls it the law of radiation. I think you heard Heather refer to radiation, radiating. Oh, I heard Heather refer to radiation in something. I was like, oh, she's talking about radiation, the law of radiation. And we sometimes call it the law of attraction, but I got to stress to you, first of all, about this law. Like a lot of people say, oh, these prosperity ministers. But it's not about getting something for nothing. Do you understand that the law of compensation is about giving and receiving? It's about reaping what you sow. And this is the theme that goes throughout everything. So if you want abundance, give what it is that you want. And then there are people who will say that, oh, we have nothing to give, but you can give. Now, your service, you can give flowers, right? You can give, I have a friend who works on a river cleanup, and they go out, and I personally think it's a ministry. They go out and they clean the river, and it's amazing the amount of stuff that they pick up, all the trash from around, working on the world. So whatever it is that you want, give, and then you can absolutely receive it. If you make a great meal, give that great meal. So that's what I want you to say. It's about, and so I know that for me personally, I have to work on this idea of receiving. So when you're working in this area, in this energy around this law, maybe your idea is giving. Maybe you have to work on the area of giving. What is it that you give and how do you give it? But maybe you have to work on receiving. Because if it's a give and receive, and the law is a law of balance, is a law of harmony. So it is both a giving and receiving. It is that total cycle. So the two techniques I want to talk about are one, the vacuum. The vacuum. So how do I create more health in my life? How do I create more abundance in my life? How do I create more of what it is that I want in my life? And the first, you've all heard this, right? Create a vacuum. And it works. It's creating that divine order. It's giving out. So I know just recently I've just went through a major closet of mine and just cleaned out that closet. Because in order, it's a hard lesson to learn unless you have a bigger closet, but in order to get more or get something new, you have to release something old, right? So, and you put that out there in the law of circulation, and then it will come to you, and you will find creative ways. So, but Catherine Ponder says, okay, she cleaned out her closet once, but she had a definite mental idea of an outfit that she wanted. She had the color, she had the length, she had the style. And Catherine Ponder, there's many people that talk about the law of attraction. And Catherine Ponder says, be very specific about it. Be very specific about what you want. So she had it all. She cleaned out her closet. And she said a friend of hers went shopping and she saw this certain dress, and she said it was just nagging her. There was just something nagging her, like, get that for Catherine, get that for Catherine. Get that. And she got it for Catherine, and she brought it over, and it was, I don't know, some type of velvet suit, so she could tell she's probably very fancy. And that it was exactly what she wanted. It was exactly the color, the style, the cut, the everything, and she got it. But she made room for it. She visualized it. She made an intention for it. She created the vacuum. So it's easy. We can do that. We can go through our house. We can go through our home. We can go through our garage. We can clear out things and put them into the law. We can give them to charity. We can give them to friends. We can offer them up. But it's the idea of giving, not selling, giving, right? That's a physical vacuum. That's the easy part. The more difficult part is creating the mental vacuum. And creating the mental vacuum is done by something that is so easy to say, but I'd say very difficult to do sometimes, and that is forgiveness. So if you want to get out of debt, it's forgiveness. True forgiveness of yourself and of others. Edwin Gaines asked us to follow the rules in the Bible. I think that's 70 times 7, to forgive others 70 times 7. So that's that constant forgiving. You're forgiven, and you can forgive. Catherine Ponder says, if you really want to see a difference in your life, get up every morning and spend 30 minutes forgiving people and yourself. So have a meditative practice that is around forgiveness, creating that vacuum. Now I will do a thing here, but I'll do a small testimony. I know that I had to go back home. I'm from Florida. I had to go back home. We had a death in the family. And family relationships can be fun or they can be fun. And I know that in that time, during this death of the family, that I experienced one of the most incredible moments of forgiveness. And believe it or not, it's actually very late. It just came to me. I was cleaning, so we had the death, and the person died in the house, and I was cleaning the room that the person died in, and it just took a week. It had a mostly contingent. And I offer you an opportunity. I want you to think about, maybe is there someone you're having a conversation, and then declare for yourself, I am, and all is well. And so you can just come back and open your eyes. So you can just practice that forgiveness. And affirmations are the tool in which Catherine Ponder excels. excels in affirmations. Affirmations, why affirmations? Why would you speak affirmations over your life? Why would you speak this over your life? It's because, like I think Deborah said, it's that vibration of sound. And that vibration, and it'll raise your vibrations. And that vibration of forgiveness, that is the highest, one of the highest vibrations. So forgiveness heals. And if you feel unhappy about a childhood trauma, if you feel unjustly wrong, whatever it is, forgiveness is a negative. Helps negate negative emotions. Unforgiveness, holding on to that is a negative emotion. So sometimes you forgive somebody, you forgive a situation, you forgive the whole thing, you think, oh, okay, I'm done with it. And then you, I don't know, see their picture flash up on a screen somewhere. And so you have to then go back and completely forgive them and yourself again. And so she says, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself with the little things like the Catholics. Don't do that. She says, just say, I fully and freely release you. I completely loose you and let you go. So far as I'm concerned, you have served your purpose in my wardrobe and I no longer need you. I love that because I can relate to that. You are now in your perfect place. And I like to say that somewhere far away from me. But wherever it is, that's where you are now in your perfect place. So forgiveness is the foundation of healing, both physical and financial. And you guess what? You don't even have to make physical contact. Because remember, we're living in a mental universe, so we're doing our work in that mental universe. And she believes that mental act of forgiveness, that deep, heartfelt forgiveness, that river of tears forgiveness, that forgiveness that leads you all the way to thanksgiving, that's the forgiveness that is the freeing power of forgiveness, and that brings you peace. So prosperity and forgiveness are delicately linked. So after you create that vacuum, now you're ready to receive. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but sometimes receiving is more my issue than giving. So you'll decide what your issue is. So sometimes receiving is my issue. So I'm practicing receiving. And it's difficult when you're used to giving, and doing. But you can open your mind to receive because you need that balance. And Catherine believes, now this is Catherine's beliefs, and I know that there are confounding beliefs out there about what you need to do. But speaking it, saying it, feeling that vibration is number one, sealing it, writing it down is number two. And in Catherine's books, she always says creating a wheel of fortune. And I think that is the vision board, creating a wheel of fortune. I'll look it up to see if it's different from a vision board, but in my mind, it's a vision board. So you want to see it in your mind's eye, speak it, and then see it visually. And she says also that, like, once you declare it, once you intend it, it's already done. It's just for us to bring it out of the ethers into the visible. It is as real in the invisible as it is in the visible, and that belief comes to the forefront as much as you can receive it, as much as you can open yourself to receive that. So write it down, and don't half step on your desires. Write down exactly what it is you desire in as much detail as you feel, and you know the law of attraction. Feel it, feel it, feel it. Feel as though it is already yours, because indeed it is. Now, outside of forgiveness, the second technique I'm going to speak about is tithing. And tithing is important because Catherine Ponder always says there's gold dust in the air. That's her famous saying, there's gold dust in the air. So outside of giving, just sort of giving, tithing. So there's three types of tithing. Tithing means 1/10. Back in the ancient mystery schools, 1/10 means 1/10 was magical. In the Egyptians with the Babylonians, as far back as you go, 1/10 is what they would give. And they wouldn't just give 1/10, they would give 2 and 3 and 4 tenths, because you'll see they had multiple levels of tithes. So the first tithe that you give is to a spiritual, somewhere that expresses God to you. Somewhere where God is visible and in action. Most of the time that's it can be a religious institution, it can be a place of worship. It's that place where you get joy, you get inspiration, right? And you give that absolutely no strings. They can do whatever they want to. Who is ever doing God's work. And so you give a tenth of what you have. You decide, gross, net, whatever it is, you do that. Wherever it is that gives you that spiritual inspiration, but you can't give out of obligation. You can't say, well, I go there, so I'll give. Because if you give a tenth out of obligation, it's not giving in the spirit of joy. It's not giving in the spirit of love, and you may not get it back. So if you're giving a tenth and you're like, well, I'm giving a tenth to the spiritual religion, well, then, search your soul. And if you don't know where to give, Catherine says pray about it, because divine guidance will tell you where to give that tenth. The second type, so the first tithe is the tithe to a spiritual organization, 1/10. There was 3 types of tithes in the Old Testament. And the second tithe was a tithe to festivals. I love it, because people had to come from somewhere, and they'd come into Jerusalem, right? And they would have to give their cows or their money. They would have to give wine, the best of what they had, they would have to give to keep this festival going. And even if you couldn't get to the festival, they said you could tithe by tithing to travel. So for me, I take that in modern times, I take that as when you go to a spiritual convention. So one of the things I'm trying to manifest this year is going to the World Parliament of Religions. So that's a type of a tithe to a festival. It's where God is being celebrated and understood, right? And that's the second type of tithe. Some people might say it's a tithe to yourself, because it's a tithe of whatever gives you joy and pleasure in honoring God also. So the second type of tithe. And then there's a third type of tithe, and it's the one that we all do, and that is a tithe to charity. Every CSL church tithes to charity. It may be something with the homeless. It may be something with the environment or cleanup. It may be to some other nonprofit. But that is absolutely the third type of tithing, is you tithe to a charity. So there are multiple levels of tithing, and you don't do it for the institution or the organization. You don't even do it to get something back. But the promises in the Bible are that it will come back to you, pressed down, multiplied, and overflowing. Now, in looking at this law, because this is an old Jewish law, Mosaic law, and I think I said that right, in the Old Testament, I found something very interesting. And I found something interesting that's playing out in today's world. In this old law, every 7 years, you're to forgive your debtors. Now, what happens on credit reports every 7 years? Yeah, it's gone, right? Takes 7 years, and then they'll erase it off. And I'm like, really? We're operating under Mosaic law? And should somebody call and write Experian or something? But it's kind of interesting. So I found that interesting, that there are laws and things that are driving us that we don't even know are driving us from different places. So this is absolutely in the Bible. That's it. People were sold after 7 years. If people owed you, you were to forgive them their debts. So tithing is that place. It's honoring the law of circulation. And I want to say something else about tithing. In the New, Jesus and others stay to talk about tithing 1/10. But you could work up to 1/10 as long as you're giving it in joy and in the place that gives you the spiritual inspiration. But know that as you tithe, therefore you'll receive. So as you give, that's how much you'll receive. A tenth seems to be the tipping point for most people. And you're doing it to support somewhere that supports your spiritual growth. And you're doing it, it's like one of the few or only promises that God has. So first, and it's an honoring of God. It's an honoring of the universe. It's an honoring of that substance, that there's this one substance under everything. And when you give a tenth of what you have, you're saying, I have faith that God, substance, the universe, is taking care of me and will take care of me. I give back. And you can never, as they say, and it sounds cliche, outgive God. Trust me, you can't. And it's tithing. So if you read Catherine Ponder, if you do some of these things, and she has lots of different things, I've only talked about a couple, right? If you do those things, sometimes you get instantaneous feedback. You get instantaneous results. And you're like, whoa, this check for $1,500 just came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. I couldn't remember it. But tithing is the key to sustaining wealth. Tithing is the key to building wealth. Tithing is the key, she says, to getting out of debt. So it's that path to permanent prosperity. And it's tapping into unlimited supply. You prove to yourself that you believe that God is the source, and you honor God first. You give to places to provide spiritual nourishment, and then you tithe for yourself. You tithe for your growth. And then the affirmations. So I just want to talk a little bit about affirmations. The affirmations are so powerful because of that dynamic of sound, the vibration of sound, the vibratory forces that are drawn to us. And as you work on declaring prosperity over your life, she says try it every day for 5 minutes, that your life will change. But do it affirmatively, do it in exactly the way that you know, in specificity to what you want. So affirmations, I just want to say real quickly, affirmations are positive. They're in the present as if they are already occurring, and they are positive. So if you want to try to create an affirmation, but if you want to learn more about all of those types of things, I say take Deborah's class on the 5 gifts of an abundant life, because she's going to go into these principles much deeper with more specificity than I have time to go into today. But I've given you a sheet of the dynamic laws of prosperity. It actually is 8 pages. I've given you 4 of the 8 pages. Someone went through the dynamics of prosperity and rich abundance. Well, maybe not. I actually kind of like saying that. Beauty and beauty, youth and beauty. But on the almost last page, I like this one. I give thanks that I am beautifully and appropriately clothed with rich substance of God. Write your life. So Catherine Ponder, an abundance of health, your heart, and that can be plenty, is definitely prosperity in all forms. So I think that is all I'd like to tell you, to remind you about Catherine Ponder. And again, if you're having problems, just move that book from the bookshelf. Grateful and after this day, that there is love and beauty. I am just so grateful and thankful for this word and for this life. I am so grateful and thankful for prosperity, for abundance, for plenty, for the ability to give and the grace to receive. I am just so grateful and thankful that this is what it is. I'm so grateful and thankful for the Center of Spiritual Living, Yolo. And as it prospers all around it. As it prospers, each and every member prospers and grows in prosperity and grows in wealth and grows in joy. I'm so grateful and thankful for this community, for this teaching. And so just knowing that this teaching is healing, it's inspiring, it's changing our lives, I simply release this word into the law, and together we say, so it is. So it is.
Thank you so much, Reverend. It's a little song I wrote called Make My Day. I make my breakfast, I make my bed, I make excuses for the things that I said. I make appointments, I make a deal, I make a promise and I'm keeping it real. Every thought received as it is heard. Every breath that I'm taking is a prayer that I am making in every way. I make my day. I make arrangements, I make amends, I make some noise with all of my friends. I make mistakes, I make believe, I make a list of the things up my sleeve. Every thought, every word is received as it is heard. Every breath that I'm taking is a prayer that I am making in every way. I make my day. What would you do if you knew that you could change the world? I make ends meet, I make a wish, I make a guess, I hit or I miss. I make my way, I make a mess, I make up what I have to confess. Every part, every word is received as it is heard. Every breath that I'm taking is a prayer that I am making in every way. I make my day, and in every inconceivable, amazing, unbelievable, improbable, impossible way, I make my day. I make my day. I make my day.
Thank you, Billy Larkin. Thank you, Reverend Mignon, for a beautiful message today. So, we are a center that observes the spiritual practice of giving or tithing. We call it here conscious, committed, structured giving. That's a big mouthful. Simply said, tithing. There are many ways to give and many ways to expand abundance consciousness. And that's what we're all about. We're about expanding our consciousness because that is how we manifest and create and grow. So we can give of our time through volunteering and service, our talents through participation, and we give of our treasure through financial donations. Your gifts help us in our mission to provide a sanctuary for all to be lifted and inspired to embody spiritual principles and live their inherent greatness. Every quarter, we share a portion of our tithe with a different local organization. And this month we're sharing with, I think it's the Davis Food and Housing Group. So not only are our giving expanding our own community here, but we are also participating in that whole another level of tithing, another level of expansion. And here we have the Davis Community Meals and Housing. They offer food, hope, and shelter, helping people in need since 1991. So typically we support organizations that share a similar philosophy to ours, that are helping people, giving them a hands up, not seeing them as needy or poor, but, occasionally we can use a little help. So we get to give and we get to receive. It's all part of that circulation. So as we look at the ways to give, you can text to give at 530-322-8441, or you can PayPal info@csldavis@gmail.com, or you can send a check or money order to CSL Davis, P.O. Box 1361, Davis, California 95617. So now that we know why we give and how to give, let's actually enter into the sacred consciousness of divine abundance. So I'm going to invite you to place your hand over your heart, symbolizing that vibrational energy of circulation, and say with me our affirmation. I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. Today, I celebrate my prosperity and my ability to share from my overflow of good. I give from the knowledge that all is well. So it is.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
So I'm going to invite us to shine some energy toward our offertory as we bless and release these gifts to do their work of proclaiming the good news that all is well. As we have freely given according to the law of circulation, it returns to us, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So we will always have more to enjoy and to spare, to give and to share. For this we give thanks, we let it be so, and please join with me in saying, and so it is. Thank you.
So,
Gonna welcome the children.
oh, the children, yeah.
Ah, la la. So, we are welcoming the children, those who are here, those who are winging their way here, and of course, our inner child who is always with us. And sometimes we don't treat it too well, but we are learning to really love it, accept it, forgive ourselves for however we've done in the past, and letting it go. As we say together, we love you. We're here for you, and we're so glad you're here. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. So we believe here in the power of spiritual connection in the form of prayer. And if you want to celebrate something or you need some guidance or some assistance, please seek out our practitioners. Deborah is here, Bobby's here, and of course Reverend Mignon is right there. And there's places for prayer, and so we're really happy to share that with you. And any other kinds of ways that you'd like to express prayer requests to the center would be great. And know that those will be all heard and sent out into the universe. We are going to have some fellowship downstairs afterwards. Please join us for that. And with all that said, I think we should circle up. And how about doing the peace song? And then that's going to come after the peace song. And if somebody could guide the words, whoever does it.
Yes.
Bobby's got it. Listen to Bobby for cues. Here we go. Because we're learning this new song. It's an old song, but we're learning.
New words.
Yes, there is peace on earth. Yes, there is peace on earth. As we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with you. This is the moment now. With everything I take, this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. That there be peace on earth and it has
So I'm just giving thanks for this day, giving thanks for this moment, giving thanks for this community, the message, the inspiration, the connection, and knowing that as we go out, we are protected, we are sourced, we are healed, we are inspired. Until we meet again.
There it is.